Good evening, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. And for this evening, for this cigar talk, I'll be talking over a good old Bahama Mama's very sweet infused cigar. Light to medium in my occasion, Bardstown blend. Again, that is a Bahama Mama, okay, cigar. Good morning, Shina. Nice to see you, young lady. Nice to see you. We're going to have a good discussion tonight. I mean, some feelings may get hurt when I start talking about the Black community as well as Christianity, but we're going to first start us off with some money. And just for you guys who are getting into cigars, I'm going to use a hole punch for this particular cigar. Good old hole punch instead of a cut this evening. Okay, as we're getting started here, go ahead and light it up. Give it a good head here. Again, this is a Bahama Mama. This is light to medium. I mean, it can be medium to bold in some cases. It's infused. This thing is not even actually blowing. I know everybody's having a good evening tonight. There's a lot of things going on. The summer is back. I mean, but anyway, let's get into some money. I don't want to bore you guys. Here we go. And for my viewers on Instagram, if you guys can't see my screen, you might want to go over to YouTube. If you guys want to see my screen or just want to hear my voice because you're doing something else. So this evening, we're going to mainly talk about cryptocurrencies, and we're going to deal with the altcoins. First and foremost, we understand that I was up almost $600 when it came to Ethereum Classic. And I gave that information out. I gave that information out 2 days before it blew up. I'm gonna stay in Ethereum Classic. I have really good belief with some analysis to back that belief that this particular coin can reach $100,000. Okay. So if you notice over the past week, over the past month, this particular cryptocurrency, Ethereum Classic, has been up 489%. I mean, the cryptocurrency market is always live, so you'll always see it teetering back and forth. But believe me or not, ladies and gentlemen, you can probably make more money with cryptocurrencies than you can in traditional stocks, but it's risky. It's very, very risky. Okay. In the past week, Ethereum Classic has been up 169%. Today it's been down 2%, and then the live market has it up 1.7%. Okay, so we're gonna skip over Bitcoin. We've been doing Bitcoin a lot lately. I just want to kind of deal with the altcoins. I think that's where the money for most investors are in the altcoins. Okay, and when we go over to Coinbase here, my portfolio is absolutely doing tremendous. I mean, I don't know my total investment. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I actually forgot, but my total investment, I think I'm up, what, 69? $6,900. I think, almost on the verge of $7,000. And just to show you some of the cryptocurrencies that I'm investing in, I'm investing in Bitcoin. I have some money in Ethereum, as well as Stellar Lumens, okay? Polygon Matic. Let me see here. And don't forget, I do have Uphold as well as Robinhood. I was investing in Dogecoin, and just going over the video I did last week to show you some other altcoins I think you guys should get into. I'm just going to point them out because I don't want to bore you guys once again. XRP, also known as Ripple. I think that you guys absolutely put a little bit of money in Ripple XRP. I think that's a good investment when it comes to altcoins. As well as Anchor, A-N-K-A. Let me make sure I blow this up for you guys because you probably can't see it. And let me know if you can't hear me or see things well. I have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so Anchor, this is a good one. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, some of these, unfortunately, you cannot invest on Robinhood or Coinbase, but you can invest in a lot of these on Kraken. That's K-R-A-K-E-N. Kraken is another platform that you guys can invest in cryptocurrency. And another platform that I also use is Uphold. Okay, you can also use Uphold. Let's look through this. Cardano, You can, this is another great cryptocurrency. Let's just go into this particular one very quickly because I think this is a low one. Let's see, let's go to overall. That's going to give us a breakdown. Yeah, $1.61 per coin. And this is the 8th most held cryptocurrency on Coinbase. So if you guys are looking to altcoins to invest in cryptocurrencies, then you absolutely should invest in Cardano. Okay. And again, Cardano for their ticker is ADA. And you can invest in Cardano on the Coinbase platform. Okay. So unfortunately, there's not one platform that you guys can actually go to and invest in all the cryptocurrencies. No, you might have to invest in some cryptocurrencies on Coinbase or Robinhood or WeBull or Uphold or Kraken or Binance or Crypto.com. I know the list goes on and on and on. But nonetheless, there's ways to get into all these cryptocurrencies. Now, another one that, again, you see Ethereum Classic here. I believe that one's going to blow up. That's kind of a supporting blockchain for the Ethereum network, the Ethereum Classic. Litecoin. Now, Litecoin is up to, I think, around $400 per coin. That's kind of out of a lot of people's price range, but I believe that you can still make money on Litecoin. But if that's too rich for your blood, look at New Cipher. Okay, New Cipher, that's NUCYPHER, New Cipher. The ticker is NU. Okay, we're just briefly going over some altcoins for you guys to invest in. Okay, I'm just going down the road here. Let's see. What else do I have for you guys? I used to have a whole list that I kept around with me, but I'm just shooting from the hip this evening, guys, on the Cigar Talk. Okay, I'm just shooting from the hip on this Cigar Talk. Okay, my cigar is not cooperating with me, but nonetheless, I want to move right into one of the heart of this evening Cigar Talk, and that's the Black community. Now, I can get really historic when it comes to the Black community, talking about all the things that the system of white supremacy that we live in, how it has curtailed the success of our people. I mean, it goes back ever since slavery, after slavery of 1865, etc. But the one thing that still plagues, or some of the things that still plague our community, is criminal justice. A lot of people are asking for criminal justice reform. I believe that we need a criminal justice overhaul. I mean, to truly address social issue problems affecting our Black young men and some of our women, there must be a significant overhaul. Think about it like this. When you think about the 1984 anti-drug and the 1994 crime bill, that is when the population of Black men became drastically overrepresented in the prison population. Black men account for 32% of the prison population, but only 6% of the overall U.S. population. Stay with me. Black men represent 32% of the prison population, but only 6% of the entire population in the United States. Black men are 5 times more likely to be incarcerated during their lifetime than white men. Let's see here. We got somebody. ITC Beauty Salon said, what's the problem with Robinhood? Should I buy in there? Robinhood is safe to actually trade on. Person on IG. And during that incarceration, Black men going through probate, going through court proceedings, are 19% on average or more likely to serve a longer prison sentence. So when people talk about criminal justice reform, it's kind of like trying to reform a serial killer. Have anyone ever heard of a serial killer being reformed? Anybody? The criminal justice system needs an overhaul. Now, I got someone from IG. Her name is ITC Beauty Salon, and she says that rap music is dumbing us all down. We need to stop listening to that. Listen, it's not the rap music. It's not the rap music. See, the one thing that we don't like to say, the one thing we keep like to kind of blur the lines and overspeak and overtalk and not address the real issues is a system of white supremacy. Can rap music have some sort of influence on the way our black men and black boys operate in their environments? Sure, but that's not the largest problem. The largest problem is white supremacy, because some people think that it's just race soldiers out there killing people, police brutality out there killing people. No, it's the psychological manipulation that white supremacy have on us and all the different disciplines around the world, whether it be economics, education, healthcare, etc. The list is extensive, and we're not paying attention to all the signs. We keep subscribing to MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. We're listening to all these news agencies tell us what we should think, where with your eyes you see what's going on. You guys see what's going on, but you don't want to come to grips with the reality that we actually live in. Take, for instance, the black community showed up for Joe Biden, supposedly. That's what he said. The black community showed up for me, and I'm going to support the black community. You have my back, and I'm going to have you guys back. That's what he said. But if you look at his first 100 days, and I did a video on that, if you look at his first 100 days, what did Joe Biden do for the black community? Because when they asked Kamala Harris, they say, hey, do you believe or do you support reparations? She was like, no, whatever we do is going to be for all the American people. Okay, touche. But ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the proof, did Asian Americans get an executive order? Did Hispanic Americans get a prosperity initiative? Did Native Americans get $31 billion? Hold up. I thought if they do anything for any group of people, it would be it will benefit the entire U.S. Black people in America have been under siege since we landed here in some forms of a matter in 1526, not just 1619. ITC Beauty Salon says, I never in my life thought that African-American people were less than me. And now I see all these slave movies, Black Injustice, everything has to do with programming us to think that way. I agree. I do agree to a certain extent with that information. But let me move on. I don't want to stay right there. I want to move on to some other problems. Our education systems in the Black community. I mean, as compared to Black women and white men and white women, Black men have lower levels of education attainment than any other group. I mean, only about 28% of Black men aged 25 to 29 have a bachelor's degree or higher, while about 30% of Black women, over 40% of white men, and nearly 50% of white women do comparatively to Black men. See, if you guys don't think that this is all by design, then you're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It's going to be hard to digest some of this information because we don't want to know the reality of our people, and other people from other races don't want to know the reality, because if I'm white, Hispanic, or Asian, why would I want to know about Black issues? Why do I want to know about Black problems? I have my own issues and problems. Why would I worry about that? If you believe that white mommy and white daddy is going to save you, they're not. Unfortunately, a lot of the help in our communities have to come from us with the lack of resources and the lack of money. Do we need help from the federal government? Yes, we do. Who put us in the situation that we're currently in? The federal government. See, a lot of us and a lot of people who look at the Black community, they will like to say, oh, well, you guys do this and you guys do that and you guys need to do this and you guys do that. And not to really harp on you, Beauty Salon. The whole rap thing music is it's a nothing burger. It's nothing really to talk about because the situations and the circumstances that people are in the Black community did not come from rap music. Redlining did not come from Black music. You guys hear this old story called Move, where they actually burnt up this entire Black town? That didn't come from rap music. All the different Black business districts, all the different Black Wall Streets, whether it be in Raleigh, North Carolina, or Richmond, Virginia, or Tulsa, Oklahoma, the most famous one, Rosewood, etc., that didn't come from rap music. That came from white supremacists destroying what Black people have built with no help from them. Because during those times, Black people wanted white people just to leave us the fuck alone. Just leave us alone. You put us in slavery, we got through that. We came out of that, we started to build, then came Jim Crow. Then came propaganda from the Republican Party, because at first, at one point, a majority of Black people were Republicans, and we tried to integrate. Even though at the time, segregation was working for Black people. It was working. It was working for us. But then we start to integrate. Jim Crow. Then we started to build within Jim Crow. But I could even go back to 1919, Red Summer. This is where the white supremacists, the World War I vets, white vets, came out with other white supremacists from other neighborhoods and tore up and burned down and killed thousands of Black people because of this success. Just look it up. Look up Red Summer 1919. This is facts. You want to know the problems? You want to know why? This is why. It's hard to hear the truth because some of you are like, I'm so tired of hearing it, but you're not accepting it and then you're not building on it because a lot of times there's a veil over your eyes. Okay, it scratched the surface. I got it. The veil is over our eyes because we keep getting pandered to majority by the Democratic Party. And for you guys who think I'm a Republican, I'm not. I'm apolitical, meaning I don't sway one way or another, independent, Republican, or Democrat, just to get that argument out the window. We have to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. And here's another thing. Do you guys understand what mass incarceration really did to the Black community? Do you guys understand the ramification that when you get a felony, did you know that you can't get a student loan? Did you know that you can't get a federal student loan if you have a felony? Did you guys know that? And here's the thing, everybody knows this. You may know it inherently or you may know it in an educational way. That when you take the man from the home becomes unstable. There's no stability. And then that whole strong Black women coalition, that whole sister girl, Black girl magic, that spawned from mass incarceration. Because our women essentially had to be strong because of the three-letter agency introducing crack cocaine, introducing mass incarceration. I mean, Black people were getting locked up for jaywalking. 2 years for jaywalking. Have you guys seen that all these, in the past 5 to 10 years, all these Black men who were mistaken identity, where they wasn't using DNA because they didn't have the technology at the time, now get released in their 50s and 60s, where their whole entire lives was incarcerated. And you guys just believe that whatever CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and all these other news agencies report about us, that we are. Then I have some black coons, some black boule, boujay, bootlicking mofos tell me, oh, what about black on black crime? And I'll say it again. That's a deflection from the real argument. Because if you go to any neighborhood, any community, they'll have white on white crime. They will have brown on brown crime. They'll have yellow on yellow crime. But when you really look at it, who's the underclass? Black Americans. Who is labeled the criminal class? Black Americans. Different systems and psychological systems have been put on the black community from the dawn of time. The whole ghetto, that came from Hitler. That put pressures on our community. And that experiment worked so well with the Jews. Jim Crow just had to do it. They say, well, let's redline them. Let's divide them. Let's do the Highway Act. That's what the Highway Act did. Divided black communities, brought a lot of traffic to black communities. And any time, and this is what they did scientifically with the experiment based upon the Jews, is when you stack people beside each other and on top of each other in small compartments, aka apartments, they start to increase in crime, in stealing, murder, sexual assault, petty crimes. This was all by design. If you think this like, oh, well, you know, and the question people say, so do you believe that all white people are racist? Not at all. But I do believe all white people in some form of matter benefit from the system of white supremacy, whether they're a racist or not. Some of them are even in support of white supremacy and don't even know it. And I'm not just talking about white people, I'm talking about white Hispanics, and I'm talking about Asians as well. Sharado here says the highway, I just read about that, running highways through black communities to break it up. Of course. But we all think that this is this. When we see, here's the thing. When you don't know your history, you're damned to repeat your history. You're damned to repeat it. What's some other issues that are affecting the black community? What about decreasing the unemployment rate? Or increasing the employment rate? I mean, black men experience higher unemployment rates, lower labor force participation rates, and lower earnings than white female and white male counterparts. Now, these trends are not only indicative of lower economic power, but also lower access to quality health care and fewer social connections. I mean, the list goes on and on. See, when you don't have a job, when you don't have a career, when you can't get a business loan, when you feel that you can't breathe, what do? You commit crimes. When you feel that the world has boxed you out as a community, some black communities, you can't even go in if you're not from that community. Why is that? Are we animals? Ladies and gentlemen, you need to open your eyes, because if the only thing you're tuning into is social media, the only thing you're tuning into those 3 and 4 letter news agencies, and I don't care, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, Fox News, etc. If that's your talking points, and you went out there and you voted for Joe Biden, guess what? You helped white supremacists gain the White House. Oh, so I should have voted for Donald Trump. I'm not saying that. I'm saying vote for those candidates that will give you something for your vote. You see, the Asian Americans voted. They voted for Donald Trump. They voted for Donald Trump, mass majority of Asian Americans voted for Donald Trump. Joe Biden turns around and gives them an executive order from the federal government, an executive order for protection under the law, where black men and women and children are dying in the street. But because of 1 year that the bigot in chief at the time, Donald Trump, was talking about Kung Flu and this, that, and the other, Joe Biden comes into office and gives them executive order of protection. Xenophobia and racism. But once again, black Americans, you voted in the president and he absolutely gave you nothing. And I know you guys love your Obama, but what did Obama do for us? Don't worry, I'll wait. You hit the nail on the head. He did absolutely nothing, but you still voted him twice. If you go back and you look at the 2008, if you go back and you look at the 2008 town hall meeting when they asked Barack Obama in North Carolina, do you support reparations? He deflected just like any other politician, and he said, I support reparations for the North Carolina school system. Hopefully somebody has learned something this evening. So it don't matter what color the president is, because essentially, let's think about Barack Obama. Barack Obama is not a foundational black American. And some of you are like, what the hell is a foundational black American? That means your roots, your lineage derives from this country. Whether it be the black Native Americans who were over here before 1526 and those black people, Africanated, Nubian people that came over here during 1526. A lot of us are still thinking about 1619. Do your history. The first blacks in this country that was recorded was in 1526. 100 of them. Go look at that. 1526, 100 Africans landed in America before it was a country. We have to really look at these things, ladies and gentlemen, because we continue to get lied to. Think about it like this. 26% of black households live in high poverty neighborhood as compared to just 5% of white households. Can I say it again? 26% of black households live in high poverty neighborhoods. That's your ghettos, projects, and slums, as compared to just 5% of white households. And in those poverty-stricken neighborhoods, black Americans, foundational black Americans, we are characterized with poor quality schools, less access to jobs, social networks and healthcare, and higher crime rates, pollution, congestion, and noise. Some people would just blame it on us. They say, well, you know, you guys are creating your own problems by selling drugs. You guys are selling drugs in your own neighborhoods. I'm just saying we have to speak truth to oppression. We have to speak truth to oppression, truth to power, truth to white supremacy. Because the more of us, when the majority of us wake the hell up and we start to realize what's really going on, and just because you making $80,000 or $100,000, that, oh, this is no longer your problem, your ass still black in America. The most racist country that shows it. The most racist country that shows their racism each and every day. It don't matter where you go. Oh, you think because you go to a city where it's majority black people, you think that you're safe? Not at all. Not at all. Now, you're probably less likely. No, probably. More black people does help. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I believe that you should absolutely live near your people. If your ass is living in the backwoods of Arkansas and Alabama and Missouri, this, that, and the other. You better move to Mobile, Alabama. You better move to Birmingham. You better move to St. Louis. There's strength in numbers. There's support in numbers. I'm just saying. And when we have lower education, ladies and gentlemen, have you noticed that the Black community, we have a lot of mental issues? I mean, evidence suggests that our Black boys tend to be more sensitive to their environment growing up, which often materializing in behavioral issues, lower education attainment, lower earnings, and increase, don't get offended, and an increase in homosexuality. See, what we fail to mention, what we fail to realize, what we fail to connect, because we got to connect the dots here. See, a lot of us, this is the problem right here, man. You always talking about the past. You have to connect the dots to understand the transformation of how things were and how things came to be. During 1984, 1994, the anti-crime bill, the anti-drug bill, the three-strike rule, all during that time, there was a major increase in mass incarceration in the Black community, and you started to take the Black men out of the home. Then the 90s and the 2000s, what increase in the Black community? Homosexuality. That's what's increased. And for those of you who want to say that homosexuality, you was born with that, show me the medical evidence. Show me the scientific evidence that people are born gay. Am I against somebody who's gay? Not at all. They deserve every right, every protection under the law, just like everyone else. But what I'm saying is there's a direct correlation. If you look at the timeline, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the timeline during the three-strike rule, the 84, 86 anti-drug bill, and the 1994 crime bill, and then mass incarceration, Black men outside of the home, Black men in jail, Black men drugged up because, the three-letter agency, they introduced crack cocaine. If you guys are watching that show Snowfall, watch that show Snowfall. That show is based on true events. How the CIA was using Black drug dealers to pump cocaine in the Black community. And you wonder there's no Black men in the home. You wonder there's a lot of Black men dead or in jail. There's a direct correlation. See, men need to work. Men need a purpose. And when you don't give those men a purpose, they do anything to feed their family. So that's on one front. The other front, a lot of Black men were getting set up by the police. They were getting set up by race soldiers. You see all these innocent Black men being released from jail. They're 50s, 60s, and 70 years of age. And so a lot of people like myself growing up, I never met my father. My mother died of lupus when I was 12 years of age. She only had an 8th grade education. And I landed in a group home, and I spent most of my time in a group home. And I'll tell you this, I don't regret any of my time in a group home. You know why? Because the group home in Washington, D.C. at the time, all of the counselors in these Black group homes were Black. So I had mentors. There were social workers. They had business degrees. They went to HBCUs. They were all had college degrees. And they gave us purpose, direction, and motivation to do better than I probably would have done if I would have stayed in the environment that I was actually in when I was with my mother. See, it's a difference when someone tells you the story and you live the story. And unfortunately, this is the story for majority of Black men, majority of Black boys, even today. They don't have their dads in their lives. And this is all stemming from laws, policies, regulations, executive orders, federal laws that's been on the books for ages. Just look it up. I'm not saying for you guys to sympathize and empathize and feel sorry for Black people. Hell no. But we do want to get what we owe from this government. See, when everybody, I made this comment, I made this correlation between Native Americans and African Americans, how Native Americans receive $2 billion every year in reparations. Because they'll tell us where you wasn't in slavery. Was Native Americans in slavery? Well, the government took their land. Wait a minute. Did they take the Native Americans of today's land or their ancestors? Exactly. So our ancestors got worked to death, got tortured, got burned, got hung. You know the story. I won't bore you with that. But we're not deserving of reparations. They live, all of the reservations are sovereign land. They pay no taxes and they're federally funded. And if you go and look, just type in $31 billion to the Native Americans on top of the federal budget spending of $2 billion every year for Native Americans. You can't make this up. But anytime we ask for what we don't want handouts. We don't want welfare. We don't want loans. I don't want a damn loan. Just give us what you owe. I always tell people, make the direct compare and correlation with the Native Americans, with the African Americans, and that shit is just like this. This is Native Americans, this is African Americans, we're at the bottom still. Oh, well, all the Native Americans are on drugs and have alcohol problems. So they still get what they still are receiving what's owed to them, but not us. But not us. Beauty Salon says, well, they kicked out a lot of Mexicans from their land in Southern California, so they should get that back. It's crazy that they are here in California. And Beauty Salon, I'm not trying to, bang on you, but this is the thing. I'm talking about Foundation Black Americans. I don't care about any other group, because when it comes to this, when it comes to reparations, when it comes to grants and support and resources, if I deflect what I want to educate my people on, just like the Democrats, just like the Republicans, we out there, oh, well, let's vote for voting rights. Okay, now that we can vote, what have we got? Nothing. Let's vote for defund the police. Joe Biden turned around and increased the police budget. So this is why when you start talking about white supremacy, we start talking about reparations, and again, I'm not trying to bang on you, but people start to deflect the conversation to other groups of people. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. In New York, undocumented immigrants, mostly Asian and Hispanic, New York is setting aside $2.1 billion to give undocumented immigrants, aka illegal immigrants, anywhere from $3,200 to $16,000 per person, because of the negative effects that the COVID-19 had on their people. They're illegal here in this country. But the citizens, the black citizens don't get that. I love having an argument of who built America, because everybody knows that our ancestors built Americans. Our ancestors built America, but they don't want to talk about that. I can literally go out on a tangent about how we built not only America, but we built Europe, we built France. If you go and you look at the evidence behind the Great Wall of China, who built that? Who built the infrastructure in India? I did a video quite some time and I showed that African people were in India enslaved, and then they gained their freedom and they started to become part of the royal guards. And there was one black king in India. Look it up. There was a black king in India. There was a black president in Mexico. There was a black general in Russia. We have been all throughout this world. How is it that Afrinated people have been all throughout this world, but no other group like us? In Asia, there was never an Asian Russian anything. Because we were the first world explorers. We're the one who essentially discovered mathematics and how to use that, even in astrology. We're the ones who came up with the first irrigation systems and C-section. I mean, the inventions go on and on and on about all the contributions that Afrinated Nubian people made to this world, let alone all the black inventors have made to this damn country today. Good evening, Madison. We don't want to talk about that. Let's see. Sherrod says, yes, they rather give illegal immigrants stimulus. Illegal is the key word. When I read that, my jaw dropped. Mine didn't. My jaw did not drop. I was like this. Touche, touche, federal government, touche. I mean, when it comes to reparation, I mean, the final policies are suggested during the panel discussion where reparations to be paid to the African-American descendants of slavery. The racial gaps present in wealth, income, housing, value, education attainment, health status, employment, incarceration rates. And you know what? Racism runs so deep in the United States that some of us are so fooled. We're so hoodwinked to think that racism is just police brutality. No. When you put your job application in, whether it be online or you mailed it in, however you did it, and you mark that check black, strike one. Then they ask you your gender. You said black male, strike two. And if you notice, some of these job applications want to know, think about this. I did a job application the other day. I was just doing some research, you know me, just doing shit to be doing it. And it asked me my sexual preference. Straight, gay, trans, don't want to talk about it. It said other or something. Why is asking you that? Because a heterosexual black man have been tamed, have been labeled, have been marked with toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity, because we're fucking men. But if you're gay, come on in. And again, I'm not gay bashing. I'm not gay bashing. I'm just telling you the freaking truth. See, that's the thing. We want to candy coat on social media, scared that we're going to get shut down. No. Long as you're not just racial hating and discriminating against people, you'll be fine. But speak the truth. Maddox Swell said, how does that affect your job? Maddox, I don't know what to tell you, man. I just broke it down. There's so many ways that they discriminate against black people, and especially black straight men. It'd be hard. See, they make it very difficult for us to reveal the evidence and information to educate our people to wake up. See, the problem is nobody is listening to Malcolm X. Nobody wasn't listening to James Baldwin. Nobody was listening to Dr. Henrik Clark. Nobody was listening to these guys, and they've been saying these things for generations. They've been saying these things for years on end. Nobody has been listening to Dr. Claude Anderson. Nobody's listening to the Black Authority, aka Jason Black, or Dr. Boyce Watkins, or Dr. Umar Johnson. Can I go on? TD Hip Hop Media. No one's listening to these people. No one's listening to Tariq Nasheed. No one has been looking at all the hidden colors he's been putting out to educate our people to wake up. And see, the perfect time is right now for you guys to go, and I'm not affiliated with Tariq Nasheed, but I believe that you need to get educated. He has put together a string of documentaries that you can just watch, because a lot of our people don't like to read, don't know how to read, but we sure can watch something, can't we? We love to be entertained, and white supremacists love when we entertain them. Go and look at his new documentary called Buck Breaking. He's been talking about it the full year. It came out April 35, if I can recall. Let's go watch it. I don't want to tell you nothing about it. Go watch it. See, they've been buck breaking big black men since slavery. If you guys go and you actually do a Google search and you type in buck breaking and you go through some stories, you're going to find some stories how slave masters used to take defiant slaves, usually big, strong black men like myself. They used to make a spectacle of it. This was to mask homosexuality that they had. They was punishing them and also scaring the hell out of all the other black men, women, and children that was on the plantation at the time. They used to bend them over a tree or some sort of platform or anything that they had and literally have sex in front of everyone. Because this spirit, this notion, this thing of homosexuality in the black community is new. There was no signs of homosexuality in Africa prior to slavery. This is something directly that correlates coming from the Anglo-Saxon Caucasus Mountain derived people. Charles says, bro, our people is so far in social media. My dad called it the great distraction. Not saying it's all bad, but it distracts our people from the real issue. It absolutely does. See, what I realize is that my channel, Financial Literacy 101, I get on here and I try to teach finances. And I'm not a big person that, tell people, well, subscribe to my channel. I got low viewage and this, that, and the other. I always have low viewers because you know one thing? Our people have been brainwashed so much that when we hear the truth, I'm turning that bull crap off. What are you talking about? I don't want to hear that mess. I don't want to hear about those things anymore. He's not talking about money. And then when I talk about money, it's still low viewership. You know why? Because we don't want to know about money. We just want to know how to spend it. Oh man, where I can put $100 in and in 2 days, I can get $1,000 back. Huh? Where do they do that at? Put $100 in 2 days, you get $1,000 back? The channel speaks for itself. Maddox, I agree. It's amazing that they put what is your sexual orientation on a job application. I can't make it up. I wish I took a snapshot of mine to show you the actual proof. Let's talk about it. Ladies, hold on to your seat. Hold on to your seats. Our women, our black women. Because we know about the black men. See, the black men, we get checked by everybody. We get checked. We get ridiculed. We get disciplined by everybody. We get disciplined by our own black men, by our black women, by our forefathers. We get ridiculed. We get labeled by white America, Asian American, and Hispanic American. Because what's the stereotype? Oh, black people lazy. Black people stupid. And that's mostly, at the time, directed at black men. So ladies, hold on to your seat. Stop helping white supremacists, ladies. My black women, stop helping white supremacists. Stop. Stop. First and foremost, in the black community, what are we? We're too fat. I said it, we're too fat. Yep, me too. I'm too fat. I'm trying to lose weight, but hey, we have horrible diets. And again, this is a direct correlation, okay, deriving back from slavery times. But again, we're in the present day. There's things that we can do about it. We have more education. We have more access to information. But our women ostracizes the men. And I've been looking at a lot of videos as far as these gold digger videos where these guys is basically go out with a beautiful car, a nice looking car, sports car, and they're snagging these women anywhere from the age of 18 to around 30. But even after 30, there's two things on a first date that most black females ask black men, or probably any man. They ask them, this is the famous one, moving right on into Christianity. Do you believe in God? That's one. Two, what do you do for a living? And then they judge you predicated upon that. And then three, what happened in your last relationship? All the while, this woman who is interviewing you to see if she further wants to date you, she's argumentative. She's overweight. She has on fake eyelashes, fake nails. She probably got fake boobs, fake butt. She got on makeup. She got all these things. You're talking to a fake person, but that's not the half of it. And I'm not talking about all black women because I love my black woman. My fiance is black, so let's not even get into that. But the truth of the matter is, they believe that you should pay all the bills with your paycheck while they can have a career and save all of their money. That's twisted. That's very, very twisted. I just want you to think about that for a moment. And then a lot of our women are aggressive. All this aggression. They're talking to men like they're men. See, in the male community, it doesn't matter what race you are in the male community. There's a certain level of respect because we know it can end up in blows. It can end up in a fight. See, women have protections under the law, and especially in the black community, is giving our women a sense of entitlement to think that they can just talk and disrespect their men. It's because they know, well, I don't want to get into theatrics, but you put your hands on me out, and they believe that they can actually whip men asses. Where are they getting this from? Ladies, I'm going to tell you what men want. And I hate to sound like Kevin Samuels, but there's some truth to some of the things he talks about. Men want you to be fit, friendly, submissive. It's pretty much it. There's a whole other list he be talking about. That's what we want. Fit, friendly, and submissive. See, our women have developed a lot of masculine energy. And you wonder why black women in the community have more degrees, have more education. That doesn't mean they're smarter. I'm just saying they have more degrees than the black men. And that is by design. You guys should go and read the Willie Lynch speech. See, he broke the men for the women or big mama to be head of the family, and that's out of order. What helped white supremacists in this sort of mind frame? What helped to keep black men and women and children docile in slavery? And we're still this way today. We don't want to fight white supremacy. We don't even want to talk about it. We want to be buddy-buddy, knowing that Brad and John, Todd, and Karen's hate your fucking guts. What has pacified the black community? What's up, D. Jones? What has pacified the black community? Now, I know a lot of you are about to start tuning out when I say this. Christianity. Christianity has made the black community very, very docile. You know, it's funny how the white media prompts up Dr. Martin Luther King because he took ass whipping. They propped up Dr. Martin Luther King because he took ass whippings. But the financial, aka race gap, the income wealth gap between blacks and whites is larger today than it was when he was alive. But nobody never wants to talk about Malcolm X. Oh, he was all about violence. No, Malcolm X wasn't about violence. He was about revenge. But Christianity, revenge is for the Lord. No, you put your hands on my family, I'm gonna put my hands on your family. Let me ask you this. How in the hell there's going to be a revolution? Because I hear some people say things in the chat room. Oh, we need to take back power. How are we going to do that? How are we going to take back power? Tell me. Do you ever see a group of black men in the woods taping themselves shooting? I see white supremacists all the time doing that. How did most of those white supremacists get that training? They went to the military. And they went back to their communities and they taught their people. See, black people, we're not ready to take power. We're not. Because if you understood how power operates, you would know the only way that we can take power is through force. People will have to die. See, Christianity tells you about to be nonviolent, but all the while the people who gave you Christianity, they were violent. The people who gave you Christianity are violent. They gave you Christianity for you to be docile, for you to be a turtle in a shell, for your mind to hibernate to see the actual truth of power. Think about it. Think about it. The first Christianity in the African American community was in slavery. And ever since then, our people, woo, Lord, have been Holy Ghost filled, on fire for the Lord. And anybody that talks ill about Christianity is the devil. Flee from me, devil. Right? Speaking in tongues and all that good stuff. And then when people try to combat me on Christianity, you know what they do? They start writing verses in the chat room, like Colossians chapter 8, verse 6. The same people who gave you Christianity are the same people whooping your ass and killing your ass in the streets. And then these churches out here who's pandering to the black community, and I'm just using these two as examples, okay? TD Jakes and Joel Osteen, they're freaking billionaires. But you'll say, oh, well, a rich man it's difficult for a rich man to get into heaven. It's like a needle going through the eye. I forgot the verse. I don't want to butcher it too bad. But you get what I'm talking about. See, Troy said, yes, Christianity has made us soft. Someone kill a black man, and the mama talking about some damn forgiveness. But I have never seen somebody shoot up a black Muslim mosaic. They don't play that. Exactly. Remember the white supremacists that went in that church and killed all those people? And those churchgoers are like, we're just going to forgive them. Okay. Okay. Do that to the Muslims and see what happened. See, Minister Louis Farrakhan don't talk about violence. But in that, they like to call him anti-Semitic. They like to call him all these other names. But the one thing they don't do is mess with that man. They know if something happened to Louis Farrakhan, this whole entire country be up in flames. But they'll mess with Christians all day. Because this is the religion that was given to our people in oppression, in slavery, being hung, being burned, being raped. They used us as game. They used to war black men against black men for sport when we didn't want to fight each other. Are you freaking kidding me? Am I saying I don't believe in God? Uh-oh. Ladies, I do believe that there's a God. I do believe that there is a God, but I don't believe that the Bible that was written by the Council of Nicaea, 325 AD was the year that all of these so-called holy men got together and put the Bible together. Do you know why they put the Bible together? To control people. Because during a time of unrest in the world at the time, they used propaganda, they used manipulation and brainwashing through the Holy Bible in order to have order. Big Uzi, much love, big man. I'm not preaching, I'm teaching. It's a difference. See, we need to read some of the things that Marcus Garvey talked about, black nationalism. Malcolm X, black nationalism. At the end of Dr. Martin Luther King days, black nationalism. Dr. Claude Anderson, black nationalism, supporting our own businesses. Supporting our own businesses. See who we got here. Supporting our own businesses. That's what we need to do. What's going on, Dapo?
Not much.
Hey, man, I can't talk long. I'm live right now, okay? All right. So when we think about these things about Christianity, we have been essentially going in direction of being docile in the way that we think about things. Because if you look at the course of history, even the colonization of different African countries was through force. And when those colonizers went to Africa, guess what they gave the Africans, our ancestors? Guess what they gave them? Christianity. And majority of African countries are Christians. And you can't tell Africans, you can't tell Black Americans anything about their Jesus. You can't tell them anything about the Holy Spirit. You can't tell them anything about the Holy Spirit. That is why the Black community is still poor. That is why Africa is still poor. It's because of Christianity. I mean, there's a lot of other things too. I mean, corruption and China. We won't even talk about the Chinese over in Africa. But see, when you control the minds and spirits of a people, we are still in slavery today. We are still in slavery today because our eyes are so much. See, it's hard to see when you're on your knees and your head bowed. I'd rather look up and look at my enslaver in his eye and say, I know exactly what you're doing. And then we have all these other people. Oh, this is black on black crime. What about black on black crime? And see, unfortunately, I have my buddy here, Dapo. I was in the military with him. One of my African brothers here. But I'll say this, and this doesn't mean everybody from Africa, but there's a lot of coons that support the system of white supremacy that comes from the African continent. That is because a lot of the African women somehow, somewhere have dated white men. Why? They were your oppressors. They colonized your entire country. They took and stole your wealth. I don't get it. You will go ahead and date white zaddy. Then when you come over to America, support the system of white supremacy and say, oh, black Americans are lazy. They just need to get off their ass and do something. Really? Oh, really? So no matter we're getting killed in the streets, no matter we're getting pressed and discriminated and racially profiled on a job and just walking down the streets, but we go ahead and vote for Joe Biden. We shucking and jiving, backsliding and electric sliding in the line, going voting. And what do we vote for? What do we vote for? Tell me, what do we get? I can tell you what the Asians receive. I can tell you what the Native Americans receive. I can tell you what the Hispanics receive. Black people as a whole around the entire world are the underclass. We're the poorest, we're the unhealthiest, and we're the most uneducated. Why is that? If you don't think this is by design, then you are a freaking fool. Everybody knows that everyone derived from African people. Even white people know that. See, white people are essentially an anomaly because two black people can have a white child. They call it albino. But two white people cannot have a black child because in their DNA and RNA strands, they have a recessive gene. We don't have a recessive gene. But I know some of you saying, you're just going to pray for me. Okay. Okay. The question is, when are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up? Because here's the thing. If you don't talk about reparations, if you don't be on the backs of white supremacists about reparations, they will continue to push the goalposts. It's like, oh, we at the goal line. Let's just push this a little further out for you guys. You know how we continue as a people to support white supremacy? Do you know how? We vote for people like Joe Biden. We vote for people like Donald Trump. We vote for people like Barack Obama. Because see, they told us that we're not going to do nothing for black people. We're not going to do nothing just for black people. But when they get in office, they do something for everybody else. When Barack Obama was in office, he gave Jews $12 million. Holocaust survivors. He gave Holocaust survivors $12 million. Why did he do that? What did the American people do to Jews during the Holocaust? The only thing we did was liberate them. The only thing we do is help free them. But he gave the survivors millions of dollars because, if you read it, they wanted for them, their grandfathers and grandmothers, to live their lives in dignity. But anytime we either be in Africa, protesting to Europe, the Caribbean, protesting to Europe, black Americans protesting to the United States for reparations, guess what they give us? Nothing. They give us lip service. Well, you guys vote for us. What we'll do is we'll do a study about why we think you should get reparations, aka HR 40. Let's do a study on reparations. Well, you know what? Let us whoop your ass and let's study that. Let's study your bruises. Let's study that. One more thing, because I really need to talk about power. A lot of us don't understand power. Power is not given, it is taken. See, a lot of people like to talk about the apartheid, and they direct correlate the apartheid with South Africa. Well, let me just tell you, 90% of the African continent was apartheid. They were ran by white governments or white influential. I mean, one of the only nations that really wasn't affected because they had Arabs was Ethiopia and Egypt. That's about it. That's about it. Now, when the English explorers or conquerors went over to the African continent, Do they come over there bringing fruit baskets and bags of gold? No. They came over there with guns and soldiers and colonized the entire African continent and stole their resources, minerals, jewels, gold, silver, diamonds, ruby, jade, you name it. And they enrich Europe. And to this day, I hear Black Americans talking about, I'm traveling over to Italy. Oh, you're going to Italy? You're going to Greece? Have you ever been to Africa? Well, I was thinking about going there. Well, why are you going to Europe before Africa? Power is taken, not given. See, yeah, the argument about slavery and how we got there, it's about, oh, well, your people traded you into slavery. The Ashanti tribe out of Ghana, they did say, yeah, we did trade slaves. But the other part of that slaves were taken by force. Slaves were also stolen out of Africa. And then a lot of those slaves are actually shipped to Brazil. There's a lot of Afro-Brazilians. There's more Afro-Brazilians than any other race. Then the rest, about 5 million, those 5 million went to Brazil, and about 1 million went to America. And then, of course, population growth, this, that, and the other. And the only reason why they raised the Black population in America, so they can have more free labor. And that's where you get the sense that capitalism was started from slavery. See, modern day capitalism is you working at Wendy's for $6-7 an hour, 8 to 10 hours a day, but they make sure you only get 36 hours so they don't give you medical care, health care, vision care. That's modern day capitalism. I can get the most work out of you slinging chicken sandwiches and burgers and fries and don't give you no health care at all and give you below minimum wage. We have to understand two things, ladies and gentlemen. One is economics. Two, you might just want to do a little bit of history about your religion before you go and give TD Jakes and Joel Osteen your money. I'm just using those people as examples because these guys are millionaires. And some of them would defend those holy men of God to say, well, they got that off of book deals. They got that off of CD deals. And my question to you is, how do they get that money? How do they get that money to start their book deal, their CD deal? Off the free money that you have given them. And I'm using those two as examples, but put your pastor, your minister, your reverend, your bishop in place of those men. How do I know this information? Because I too was an ordained minister. When you pass that tray around and the envelope around, and that's free money, interest-free money, tax-free money. They take that money, they invest that money. In my opinion, owning a church, running a church, being of a church board, getting paid is one of the best businesses in America. Some of you may wonder the solution. Some of you want to know the solution. First and foremost, while we stay on the backs of white supremacists about giving us what they owe us, which is reparations, we still have to help ourselves. We have to support our own. We have to support our own. That kind of brings me to a closing here. But the last thing I want you to think about this is called Guap Coin. Guap Coin. Let me share my screen. And for you guys on IG, I do apologize. If you want to see my screen, you have to go over to my YouTube channel, Financial Literacy 101. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. So you guys on YouTube, you see my screen here. This is an altcoin. This is a cryptocurrency that was started by an African American. It says Guap Coin is a cryptocurrency created to amplify the economic voice of the Black community. Knowing the full impact of our spending will motivate and inspire us. ladies and gentlemen, we have to support our own. We have to support our own. We buy black. And here's another thing, because I'm planning a trip to go to Ghana next year. You have to visit the continent. Pick a country. Do your research. You have to pick a continent to go to. We are so, I don't know, intrigued with Europe, where all the riches, the crown jewels, and all that was stolen out of Africa. Oh, man, we got to know our history. We got to know where we come from. We have to understand that the hold that white supremacy have on our minds, our bodies, our spirits. The thing about it is, whether you be from Africa or America and you're black, or the UK and you're black, a lot of us are reincarnations of white men and white women, especially black Americans, because we have no true traditions. A lot of our traditions are from white people. And as demonic and evil as that sounds, that you may think, I understand why. See, when our African brothers and sisters come over here, they have a country to go back to. My friend Dapo, he's Nigerian. Culture, family, lineage, land, Nigeria. My Kenyan brothers, they go back to Kenya. They go back to Nairobi. They have culture, traditions, dances, ceremonies. I hope that our traditions and culture here in America is not twerking. I hope not. I hope it's not twerking. So if you truly want to be free, brothers and sisters from around the world, the first thing that you have to know is your history. You have to depict who's friend or foe. Who's a coon, who's a sellout, who's a bed wench, who's those black people in support of white supremacy, and those who are for a black revolution. That's what we have to depict. That's what we have to figure out. And if we don't do this, let me tell you something. The impoverished rate around the world for all melanated people will stay the same or get worse. Our black women ostracizing our black men and them wanting now to date white men. Hold up. Here's the thing. I've heard sisters tell me that the reason they don't like dating black men is because we don't have good jobs or we don't have our stuff together. Why in the hell you think we don't have our things together? You think we just wanted to be this way? And a lot of this, again, ladies and gentlemen, is because we don't know our freaking history. Now, some of you like, oh, you keep going back in history. Yes, unfortunately, some people I grew up with were products of their environment. I was this close from being a product of my environment. I am an anomaly. I want you to put this into perspective. Black young boy, never met his father. Mother died at 12 because of lupus. Goes into the group home system. Where do you think most of those men end up at? They end up dead, in jail, gay. And some of you may say, oh, he's looking at gay as a stain. No. I'm telling you the history of how we get where we get from where we came from. I'm not bashing homosexual. I'm not bashing LGBTQI. I'm not bashing that community, but I'm telling you why we have a lot in the black community. When I got out of that situation, I went off to college and I joined the military. I volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club as a mentor. Because I knew those men in the Boys and Girls Club who directed me, motivated me, taught me, mentored me, disciplined me. gave me a sense of being proud as a black man and to give back to our black community. See, a lot of our boys out here are lost. A lot of our young ladies out here are lost. And it's because of the generations before us. But it all derives back from colonization and slavery. But we have to break the generational curse. We have to break the generational curse, or the generation after us are damned to repeat it. We don't know about economics or how money revolves around. We don't know how to support our own. We rather trust a white man than a black man. I'm like, this whole system is demonic. When you are trusting somebody who have done your people wrong for hundreds of years. And I'm not saying every white person is wrong. I'm not saying that. There are some white people who actually ride for black people, who will actually give their lives for white people. What was the guy's name back in the day? John Brown. Him and his sons actually died fighting for black people to be free. We got some riders who are white, but unfortunately, a lot of white people are not for black people. Again, they either are white supremacists, are in support of white supremacy, or don't want to be involved at all. We have very few people from other races that are willing to sacrifice their security, their resources, their money for our black liberation. Because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in slavery today. We're just not in shackles. We're in slavery of the mind. Because every day, I used to be one too. I used to be like, oh yeah, that's right. Looking at CNN. Oh yeah, it's black on black. Yeah, that's what it is. We got to get off our ass and do. And then you come into the truth. And it's like an epiphany. Lies. This country was derived off of chaos and war. Africa was overtaken by chaos and war. And if they could, the world court probably would allow the total annihilation of melanated people. But then, if you kill us all off, who would have built all the structures in Europe? Who would have built Spain? Because we built Spain after we conquered Spain, and then they came back in one year. We're talking about the Moors, but I won't get into that. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been your cigar talk for this evening. Hopefully we all learned something. I know I learned something, that we still have much work to do. And the one thing that you can do, whether you have a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge, is go read and educate people who simply don't know. You guys have a great evening. I'm out.